Alright, start the recording. Hello, Aiden. This video is dedicated especially to you. So, you've been having issues getting third job, BM, Furious Blade. And I just want to let you know that I'm here for you. We're all here for you. And I want to give you a little advice on the third job quest. And I think you're also having issues with passive quests. But for now, let's just ignore those people in the background. I know this is kind of a spooky area for giving you a lesson, but ignore all that background noise. Okay, so you've already completed the first quest of the third job, which is to do 11-6, Forgotten Elwyn Sanctum once. Second quest is to do Forgotten Elwyn Sanctum 5 more times. So in total, you just have to run 11-6 6 times for those first 2 parts of the third job quest. Easy, simple. It'll take you about, 30 minutes if you do it all at once. Now, after this, it becomes a little testy. It's a little hard. Not really hard. You have decent gear, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Plus, you'll be in a party. You might get carried more often than not, or run into a lot of randoms that may bring you down. But don't let it bring you down. Come on, you can't let the amazingness of the Furious Blade, new commands. Don't. And his new arm looks so cool. Okay, so third job quest. You have to kill Skin Splitter, which is the boss of 11-2, who also appears in 11-3, who also appears in 11-4, and who also appears in 11-5. You have to kill him 20 times. Not really a hard thing to do. My advice for doing this, if you're trying to speed run getting third job, what you can do is you can go to 11-4, which is Derbian Laboratory, and just run all the way to the second room. Well, he will be the, mini boss, in quote fingers, of that room, and you just take him out. You can keep spamming those first 2 rooms, and then you leave right after you kill him. If you're doing it on normal mode, you also have a really good chance of getting L tiers as drops. However, if you want to just take your time, do it the legit way, you just do 11-2. 11-2 is the full dungeon, but in addition to getting possible L tiers, you also have a chance to get Elwyn defense request. These are important, because later on you're going to need about 30 of them, at least, minimum. You may need more. You might need to use a little bit less, but I don't know. It's also really spooky here. Look at all the weird black holes in the background. This is a horrible place for a teaching lesson. My pet's all asleep and stuff. Falling asleep. No, actually I'm pretty happy right now. Recording all this information down for you. Okay, so after you've killed Skin Splitter 20 times, you're going to defeat 20,000 freak monsters in one of 2 dungeons. 11-3, which is Elwyn City, in which you will need the Elwyn defense request to gain access to that dungeon. To run 11-3, you need 1 Elwyn defense request per run. But what you're actually going to be doing is 11-4, Derbian Laboratory, because you're going to need every single last one of your Elwyn defense requests. Unless you have some exorbitant stash that I don't know about because you've been secretly playing the game, even though I've seen you when you're on the game. Unless you're playing on like an alt that I don't know about. You probably don't have that many, if none at all. So, you're going to be running 11-4 for a good long while. And this is where things get a little bit tricky, but also pretty. I would say it's good for your development overall because you're going to need to learn how to function in that dungeon and to learn the mechanics of that dungeon. The enemies in Elrianode hit hard. They hit like bullet train trucks. Like if a truck was on a train and that train was a bullet train and it was like a transformer fist just like flying at like Mach 5000, those mobs hit hard. Real hard. You're gonna need some defense. You're gonna need some strats. You're gonna need iframes. You're gonna need all that. All your ingenuity is gonna go into you running 11-4. Because you can't always count on those random times where people just blow away the dungeon and carry you hardcore on their backs like a camel through the hot desert, and you're in the shade and they're taking you to the amazing utopia over the horizon. It's just a little oasis of L tiers and third drop kills. No. You're going to really need to know how to work around in that dungeon. Because not only will you be getting L tier fragments, L tier powders, and possible Elrianode defense requests when you kill the boss. Which also counts towards the freak monsters that you kill, by the way. Like, every enemy in 11-4 counts as a killed freak monster when you're road to 2000. Not only will you be getting all that, but you will be gaining valuable experience. Because that dungeon is important when you're just grinding out regular like L tiers to sell. Because I know you're kind of low on funds as well, but we'll get to that at a later date. So that's 4 out of 5. After you complete 2,000 freak monsters, that'll take you about, let's say 5, maybe 6 hours, depending on how long your runs are. You get the 5 out of 5. Now this is the most testiest part of the third job quest, because here you're going to be fighting the Spadio Reaper, or Spadio Reaper. I'm going to call him Spadio for now. He is the one and only boss from 11-3, Elrianode City. And I hate this guy. He's like, he's the bane of my existence. You know those little portals in the background? I wish you could just throw them in there. Just trap them. Have them never come back out. Freaking hate that guy. But it's not about my hate. This is about you. This is about you and your climb to the top. To get the finally get to third job. And experience power that you've never had before. And just look cool. Like Fury's Blade has like some cool, his promo, his new arm, his hair, his new command. Okay, so TransBM, or when TransBM came out, he got that new command that gives him like a mini divider shockwave. Now he has a mini cutter. That's amazing. I love it with all my heart and soul. It's so good for grouping. It does really good damage. You get lots of MP if you hit a lot of enemies. Boy, please. Probably do some swag-tastic nonsense in PvP. Anyway, Spadio Reaper. You have to kill 30 Spadio Reapers to complete third job. You can find Spadio in the aforementioned 11-3, which you need 1 Elrianode defense request to access. And you have to complete it because he's the boss. There's no farming of rooms. You have to actually complete the entirety of 11-3. So if you're low on reses, I got your back. Just like, I'm here. Just PM me. You can also find Spadio Reapers in 11-5, which is L Tower Defense. Now this is interesting because here's where that caveat I keep mentioning all the time. 11-5 has a chance in the very first room to spawn as little as 0 Spadio Reapers and as many as 6 Spadio Reapers. Maybe more. I haven't had any strong consensus on whether there's more than 6. I have only ever encountered 5, and there was one rare run where I got 6. But this was like a few weeks ago when I was getting Doombringer, third job LP. So if you run 11-3, there's a always guaranteed chance you will get a Spadio Reaper. As well, you have the option of farming just getting through that dungeon, because not only is it easier, a lot easier than 11-5, you don't have to deal with the RNG nonsense of maybe getting 0, maybe getting 2. Because to access 11-5, you need 3 El Reno defense requests. 11-3 is 1, 11-5 is 3. So, if you get 3 Spadio Reapers in 11-5, that means you've essentially done 3 11-3s. If you get less than 3 Spadio Reapers doing 11-5, that means you have essentially wasted one of your 11-3 runs. However, if you get more than 3 Spadio Reapers, that means you have increased your yield from doing 1 11-5 versus 4, 5, or 6 11-3s. You have the potential to cut your time in half, because 11-3 is actually it's not a long dungeon at all. It's kind of like a mob smorgasbord. You know that one area in Sander, I think it's the Trakta village dude. There's that one section where you just kill a whole bunch of the spawning Trakta mobs. That's basically what 11-3 is. It's just a mob smorgasbord. And you can actually earn a lot of EXP and a lot of L tiers, killing all of the boss monsters and regular mobs that spawn there. Mini bosses, because the skin splitter dude also spawns there as well. And he has a chance to drop L tiers. So you can actually get a lot of mileage if your intention is to sell the fragment powders or actually make an Elria node set, which is a lot more. I'll talk about that later, but more or less, I think you're still trying to focus on either getting 40 or hero. Elria node is a different ballpark entirely, but not. It's something that you should invest in early if you even have a slight inkling towards building it, because it's essentially a build your own heroic set where you can add or take away whatever you want. So if you start early, it's better for you. So always keep that in mind. So 11-5, you basically want to do. There's 2 versions of 11-5. You have the story mode, which is less enemy spawn, and it's a lot less resource intensive, as in you don't need as high of an item level to even get in. To get into the normal 11-5, you need an item level of at least a 180. That is unrealistic for people who are just like working their way into the game. So it's probably going to be mandatory for a lot of people to just do normal mode for a while until they get like a +9 weapon and really good gear. You will also need a lot of, I want to say, technical skill, because a lot of those mobs hit even in normal or in story mode, which is the easier mode, which still costs 3 tickets, by the way. Each mode, that there's no disparagement on how many tickets you use. You use 3 for both, but story mode, a lot less mob spawn, which is that caveat, and everything is easier in quote fingers, but things still hit hard. So you'll actually be learning how to run the actual 11-5 if you practice the story mode of 11-5 getting your 3rd job. You can also, I should probably mention this before I end this, you should also take into consideration that you'll be doing epic quests to get more ED, just raw ED from doing story mode missions. If you have not completed the story mode all the way up to 11.5, hold off on that so you do not waste tickets when you have to go back, because you're probably going to want to get your second hyper where you're going to have to go back to 11.5 and do more runs to get certain drops. So, long story short, get all of your epic quests all the way up to 11.3 and 11.5. And then after you get it all the way up to 11.5, start your 5 out of 5 runs to kill the Spadio Reaper 30 times. If you want to do 11.3, it is a guaranteed 30 runs. If you want to do 11.5, there is a little RNG you will have to deal with. You will either do less runs or you will do more runs. So just take that into hard consideration. You may want to do a little half and half and do some 11.5 and do some 11.3. That's what I did for my second run, because my RNG was not favorable in my favor doing normal mode. Getting Tempest Burster, which is the third job I've gotten so far. And my RNG was kind of on the meh side. I had to do 3 extra 11.5 runs, which was 9 tickets. It's pretty expensive. I did use the event 30, and then I had to do 9 more runs. So 39 tickets I used, which is definitely not in my favor. If I had the ability to run normal mode, because my item level wasn't high enough to just queue for it, I would have probably just did normal mode to hopefully get a carry, because I got really lucky on my Doombringer. There was what is this third job? Catastrophe. Third job for Dreadlord, Tamoria, and Abysser. He was really good at 11.5 normal mode, which is insane. So, he was a super cached, overly ultra geared dude, and he kind of cleared it for us. And he was actually super cool. He was helping a guildie out getting third job as well. I think it was an Nemos or a Windsneaker that was trying to get a Nemos. So, take all this into consideration. It is not a hard quest. It is not going to take a long time. You just need to focus and get the easy stuff done, because 5 out of 5 and 4 out of 5 are going to take you a little bit longer. Well, actually, 5 out of 5 it's probably going to go by really fast, because if you just do 11.3, you can get through that dungeon pretty quickly. It's not a hard... Spadio Reaper isn't a quote fingers hard boss. He's just super annoying. I hate that guy so much. All of his attacks are just made to annoy my playstyle. I hate that guy. But you may find him a little bit more manageable, depending on how you play. So, Spadio Reaper 5 out of 5. It's gonna either be your best friend, or you're gonna really dislike it, depending on how you feel towards Spadio Reaper. You already know how I feel towards Spadio Reaper. You see, I just want to put him in between those two black holes and have him be ripped apart. Imagine a person being torn apart because 2 horses, there's one rope tied around his neck and one tied around his ankles, and they just run in opposite directions. And that's what I want to happen to Spadio. I hate this Spadio Reaper so much. That dude's eaten at least 60 of my reses. Easy. Hate that guy. I also kind of hate Skin Splinter too. He's kind of annoying, but he's a lot more manageable if you actually pay attention. So I'm in the video here. I got your back with third job. You just need to actually be around and stay on for more than 30 minutes so we can actually get this done, so that we can look forward to what the third jobs are at the time of recording of this. So, this is my advice to you and anybody else who is doing third job. Fare thee well.